Surprise, I am alive. And I saw Barbie, directed by Greta Gerwig, and it was fun? I know, I'm a grown man and I didn't hate it. I must be fucking gay. Now look, I'm not a huge fan of Greta Gerwig. I know her movies are very highly praised, but personally, I never felt super impacted by either one of them. Little Women was decent, and Lady Bird was a pretty big letdown. Also, given that the trailer to Barbie did nothing for me, I went into this movie with minimal expectations. And after seeing it, I can confidently say that it's my favorite movie that Greta Gerwig has directed. There's a lot to enjoy with the cinematography and the set design, which is seemingly infinite. The crafting of Barbie world was done incredibly well, and all of the actors in the movie did a pretty decent job. There's a couple of them which I thought were terrible, but I will get there in a bit. My favorite part of the movie was that it didn't take itself seriously at all. It could have easily been a preachy feminist movie with no humor, but it wasn't like that at all. It was a preachy feminist movie with lots of humor. Had it not been so self-aware, I probably wouldn't have enjoyed it, but surprisingly, I was laughing consistently. And by laughing, I don't mean breathing out of my nose slightly harder than normal. I mean actually lolling. And the rest of my theater seemed to be enjoying it just as much as me. And I'm sorry, ladies, but the best part of this movie, and it isn't even close, was Ryan Gosling as Ken. His performance was absurdly hilarious, and most of the moments that had me belly laughing were scenes that involved him. It kind of makes me really wish we had more comedies starring Ryan Gosling. I want to see him do more than just silent, stoic, drive type roles. Another movie I watched recently with him in it was The Nice Guys, and if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. It's a terrific action comedy, and Gosling is just hilarious in it. Margot Robbie was really good in her role of Barbie. She fit the character better than just about anybody else could have, in my opinion. My issues with her are in the latter half of the movie, when the character just kind of turns into a whiny crybaby for a good 30 minutes. That has less to do with the performance by Margot Robbie and more to do with just the writing. Michael Cera did great as Alan. His role never felt super necessary to the plot, but it was an absolute treat anytime he was on screen, and I really wish he was in it more. Will Ferrell, shockingly, did not make me want to kill myself this movie. As you may or may not know, I genuinely can't stand Will Ferrell for the most part. I just recently watched him in Holmes and Watson, and holy shit, was that movie a gigantic piece of garbage. I got really nervous when I heard he was going to be in this one, but surprisingly, I actually kind of liked him in the role. He wasn't a standout or anything, but I feel like his character was small enough to where I could tolerate him. I actually think I prefer him as a supporting villain more than I do the main role. The last two performances I want to discuss are America Ferrera and the girl who played her daughter. I think that these two gave legitimately awful performances. Their characters are written so poorly, and I couldn't stand it anytime either one of them was on screen. I think they were written to be the heart and soul of the movie, you know? The characters for the audience to connect and relate to, since the main characters are just kind of cartoon versions of men and women. But unfortunately for me, I was unable to connect with either one of them. Now I get it, it's not a movie for me, so this isn't a statement that I expect everyone to agree with. But it's definitely worth addressing, since every time they were on screen, I was just absolutely irritated. Especially the daughter. There was this scene towards the end of the second act where America Ferrera goes on this rant or monologue about women, and I swear to you, I have read this exact monologue word for word as a copy and paste type Facebook post about 100 times before seeing this movie. It was incredibly unoriginal, but before it was even over, I said to myself, this is totally gonna get an applause from the audience when it's over. And boom, what do you know? She finished talking and like half of my theater clapped. And there was even this annoying bitch a few seats ahead of me that yelled out, "Period!" Let me remind you, this is the same person who has been texting and talking the entire movie. Like, please do everyone around you a favor and like go play in traffic or something. The soundtrack was pretty good. I liked the inclusion of Closer to Find by the Indigo Girls. There was a Tame Impala song, who's one of my favorite musical artists. But these aren't anything that I can really give the movie credit for. They were songs already written before the movie came out. It's not like they were made for the movie, so I can't really give the movie credit there. The musical aspects of the movie, however, were done very well. I especially love the Ken song. I think the choreography and delivery was done hilariously, and I could pretty much feel everyone in my audience vibing with it. Overall, this was a pretty fun experience that I'm really glad I got to see in a packed theater. It did enhance my experience quite a bit, and I can actually see myself rewatching it at some point. It's far from perfect, and there's plenty of issues that I have with it, but it's not half as bad as I was expecting. I'll give Barbie a 6 out of 10. It is closer to a 7 than a 5. Thank you. Bye-bye.